This is the Neurosurgery Podcast.
Juan, welcome to the Neurosurgery Podcast.
Thank you, Mike.
You're a friend of the podcast. You've been on before. Your episode was listened to by lots of Latin Americans.
Yeah, I'm actually keep reaching people. You know, I like it because actually I want people to follow my path. You know.
Yeah.
Because I was lucky to be able to get that's an amazing health system, which is the U.S., and be able to be on the top of the arrow, which is not easy. You know?
Well, I know you've been an inspiration to lots of young men and women who are thinking about healthcare, medicine, and neurosurgery specifically. But I want to pivot a little bit and talk today, while we're here at AANS, about social media.
Yeah.
Excuse me. You've given some amazing talks and lectures at various meetings talking about social media. And I want to take it, we could take it in different directions, but I want to get a sense of how did you even get started with the social media? What drove you there?
Yeah, and this is a really good question, Mike, because the first barrier that people have is, what should I do? How can I get started? Social media is too big. I mean, I don't have followers. How can I get 2,000 of followers? So I can tell you this. First is, like everybody say, the first step is the most difficult one. Mm-hmm. Once you put your first post, things start flowing. When I started, I was getting challenged by that. I was like, how I'm going to have followers in here.
Do you remember your first post?
Yeah.
What was it about?
My first post. Actually, it's a resident was telling me, I think it was a good, if I'm not right, a thoracic disc, or if not, was a lateral case. And then.
So you started by posting about cases, about surgeries.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then also you have to understand what is your target. If you want to be like a funny guy and it's a different track, but if you want to post about your research, your work, what you do, marketing yourself, then you have to put, posts that are meaningful to what you do. Always a good surgery with a good outcome is always welcome on the community. But the trick is, I would say, is try to find unique things, things that are unique to you that you can capitalize.
Are most of your followers patients? Are they students? Are they other surgeons? Who's following your content?
Yeah, so it's very interesting. The biggest bulk is surgeons itself.
Really?
It's very interesting, yeah. And then is industry, and then is like outsiders. But the reason is because most of my social media activity is on LinkedIn.
Okay,
it's
LinkedIn.
Different. I divide my social media in different boxes. So, for example, my personal things, I use Instagram or TikTok. Things like, this is like, some event, fun event, or going to vacations or meeting some friends. That one goes to the personal box that is Instagram or TikTok. But then professional thing, like being in here with Mike, for example, I'm gonna make a post of this, so that one go to LinkedIn, which, why I will post this, because it's a unique opportunity. It's a great way to expand not only my branding, but also Mike's podcast. So this is, for example, a good example how you started.
Yeah, and you do this yourself, right?
Yeah.
And how does it take a lot of time?
It's actually not, and take a look at this. This is very interesting in the human being behavior. For me, it's more difficult to put a post than for you, Mike. Why? My English is limited, my grammar is limited. I was not, if I had to post in Spanish, it would be like a joke. But let me tell you, now with all the tools that we have, it's amazing. Now, to be honest, AI agents make the post like a breeze right now.
Yeah.
But now it's more challenging because everybody can put a post.
Yeah.
Now everybody's gonna come out. So it's very interesting because everything brings is a little more difficulty. But I can tell you, if you're a surgeon up there, it doesn't matter where you are, what you do. You're a private practice, you're a resident, you're a fellow. Start your social media world. Why? Because you have to outreach. This is the real life right now. I don't know, Mike. Are you?
I
are you
have
on social
zero
media?
contact with that. I don't do any, but I'm a dinosaur, right? Like other than the
You're
podcast.
established. You're very established. You have amazing reputation. Everybody wants to be Mike Wang somehow,
No. But
and that's different. But for the new guys, it's tough. You have to. I think, and you have to understand something. Social media marketing is technically free.
it's hard for me to do that, and I'm very worried I'll post the wrong thing or whatever, but you've done something very special, which is you've broken way past the white noise. You broke the sound barrier, whatever that inflection point is. Why did that happen? Do you think it's because you were doing unique surgery, or because you were first or early, or just because you're so good at the content you create?
I think it's the combination of, first, I was trying to find what surgery I do that most people don't want to do it, don't like it or something, which is, for example, the thoracic GI calcified discs. So I start posting on that, and people, have a good images post up, and people like that, and you work around that. I also like to use, for example, our interaction in organized neurosurgery, which is important. So that way it's a double purpose. Not only you marketing yourself, but also you marketing the institution, So you have to find a way that you are doing it for a good reason,
Joe Rogan, he's the #1 podcaster, right? He always says, don't read the comments that people make about your outward facing self, right? Is that true? Like, don't look at it?
That's a really good point, because that one can make your life miserable. So this is the way that I take it is, I produce the content, I post it, and then I let the community to decide what to do with that. The minute that you start going and reading every comment, every detail, you become miserable, because it's a lot of people everywhere, So you have to make sure that first, obviously, you don't want to post things that are like scandals or inappropriate, yeah? But as long as you know that you're streaming normally within your field, you have a good guardrails, please do a favor yourself, don't read that.
I will tell you, we try to be blatantly honest on this podcast. Maybe the reason people listen is we're just having conversations, not scripted. I don't hold back at all. People know so much about my life now, which scares me a little bit. Yeah. But I can tell you, when we went to YouTube, suddenly different types of comments emerge. Like, these different platforms have different types of people on them. So when we went on YouTube and we were doing videos in my own house, I started to get this feedback like, oh, why would you say that? Or why would you, that we never had when we were on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It's very interesting, and it actually bothered me. I don't want to empower the people who made some somewhat, none of the comments were that bad, but like them somewhat mildly like, oh, this is so boring, or oh, you're just talking about the same old stuff, or whatever. Like, if you read that, it really affects you as a person. And I was like, listen, JP, I'm not gonna read any of this anymore. You handle it. And I knew the YouTube community was different. There's a lot of trolls, right? Yeah, like, it's very different than Instagram or whatever, right?
Yeah, and that troll problem is just tough, Obviously, you take a look a little bit, make sure that you check yourself, but there is most of the comments actually they don't make sense, I don't, just keep producing, keep generating, keep putting a post out there. That's better than that, That one will answer the question. Sometimes what I do is what people say sometimes, it stimulate me, or makes the foundation to make the next post.
Do you think, let's say I'm a surgeon in residency now, do you think it's possible today to come out of residency training in the next couple years and have a viable job, let's say a job other than you take call or locums, if you don't have a social media presence?
Yeah, it's very interesting, because residents think that they're not ready to do social media. They think that social media is after graduation, which is very interesting. I was doing a survey in our own residency. Vero is one of the biggest residencies, 4 residents a year, plus the fellows. I mean, less than 10% has actually a social media presence.
Really?
I asked them why. They said, I don't think we don't need it, which is very interesting. But I think that if you start early in your career as a resident, building your platform, I think is your postgraduate life will be much better.
Well, listen, so great to see you here in San Antonio.
Thank you, Mike.
And next time we will have to have you on to talk about a topic that Juan Uribe is really an expert in, which is how to make money buying cars.
There you go. That's
Yeah.
a hard one.
That's a good
Okay,
one.
thanks very much.
Take care.
Okay,
Enjoy
bye.
the meeting.
Mike, you're the best, man. Appreciate it.